So I have a bunch of these old fluorescent two-tube light systems in my barn, in one of my barns, and I'm wanting to convert these to LED. When I crack all this open, I'm noticing we have a transistor and a capacitor, a condenser, and we have a couple of little circuit boards in between, and those circuit boards were encased in these little plastic housings. I broke those open to see what they were. So it's a little circuit board with a transistor, resistor, and that sort of thing. And then over here on the other side, we also have another transformer and condenser, capacitor, and resistor. So I want to rip all this out, but keep this part here where the tubes plug in, and convert this to an LED system. This is going to be a pain in the butt, but these are all I have, and I have to convert them, or I have to hang new lights, and it's more expensive to hang new lights. So I'm going to try to convert these. The plan is I'm going to cut all this out, leaving just the wires. On these, it's not going to be a simple case of just plugging, cutting the wires, stripping them, and plug them into a socket or something. Some soldering is going to be required, I think, on this one. So this is the first step, just tearing it down and taking it apart. All right, I've got the first transformer removed. You can see the capacitor and the shunting resistor. Oh, where is it? There it is. Shunting resistor on the capacitor there. That's all there is to that. There's no diodes or anything else. The power comes in here, and it was going directly to the transformer, so I'm going to have to reroute that to the power supply. The plan is to solder these two wires together and solder these two wires together, and then run two long wires out this direction to the power supply. So this is looking like it's doable. Now in that configuration, on this side, I just remove all this. I just remove it and just leave these open. They're not needed, because when you supply the voltage on both sides of the tube on one end, then that's all that's needed for this system. Right, so this is where I ended up with this. Kind of changed my approach on this. I had two wires coming out that were long, and so I wanted to use those without cutting them. So I stripped away the insulation on each of them, and then I soldered the other wire from each socket to the opposite long wire. And then I brought those out and plugged those into the power supply, into the plus and minus LED outputs of this. The AC coming in, I had to solder a small wire to the line. The neutral was already long enough, so I just used it. I re-insulated the one, well, you can't see, so I used good electrical tape to insulate both of them, but one of them had poor insulation on it, so I redid that. So this should work. Only other thing I need to do is, this is just sitting in here. I need to put some either double-sided tape or Velcro. It's probably going to be Velcro, and I'll just secure that in with that, and then I'll be able to remount this, and we'll see if it works. The other side, you'll see here that I just cut the wires, and I cut them to where there's no conductive part showing, but it probably doesn't matter. The important thing is they're not connected to anything. And I have it all together over here, all the wiring and the covers on. Still got to put this cover on, trying to figure that out. And I still got to put the cover on over here, and then I'll be hanging it and testing it. So I got it mounted up and wired up. I don't like the way it is, but that's what it was like when I took it down. I used wire nuts. Maybe sometime in the future I'll put a utility box and do a better job of that. But for now, that's the way they're done in this old barn. Let's see if it works. There you go. Honestly, didn't know if I was going to be able to do this one. This was a level 10 challenge, because it was a weird double transformer setup with a couple of little PCBs, and the wiring was steel, and it didn't want to take solder. It was just a major pain. But now, instead of 80 watts, it's going to be about 20 watts for that light. And this barn has quite a few, like that's 80 watts, that's 80 watts, that's 80 watts, that's 80 watts. So it's, with all the lights on in this, it's about 1200 watts. So I'm motivated to change these to LEDs. See you on the next one.